Hi there, welcome back to Camera Than Coffee, where you and me talk about deserving cameras. And today I'm damn excited to share with you a detailed specs comparison of the almost famous Sony A74 and the most awaited Fujifilm X-H2s. It's a new channel, so if you find this video helpful, do consider subscribing. It helps me when you do that. Cool, let's begin. So the Sony A74 is now 9 months older than the new Fuji X-H2s, and they're both priced at approximately $2,500. Cool, now let's start with the most important specs of the cameras. While the A74 has a full-frame 33 megapixel CMOS sensor, the X-H2s on the other hand has an APS-C sensor with 26.16 effective megapixels. Now don't underestimate the later one, as it is a new stacked sensor. It will be really interesting to see what it does. And not just that, the new X Processor 5 on X-H2s has introduced AI deep learning to the Fuji X series for the first time. This will help in improving the image resolution in low ISO and will reduce noise at high ISO. Plus, it is responsible for anything and everything about speed. And together, the sensor and the processors will allow 10 FPS continuous shooting on A74, whereas on the other hand, X-H2s wins the battle with 15 FPS continuous shooting using mechanical shutter and 40 FPS using electronic shutter. Good for wildlife and sports photographers. Speaking of ISO, A74 seems to be more helpful as it has a wider range, and talking about shutter speed, X-H2s goes down to 1/32,000th of a second, giving us a lot to explore. Next up is autofocus, and good for us as creators, both the cameras have the best fast hybrid face detection and contrast detection AF system that allows smooth and confident continuous focusing in all recording modes. But if we talk about numbers, A74 has 759 face detection AF points, which I believe will make its AF more flexible. And during nighttime photography or in low light situation when the light is not in our favor, the X-H2s moves ahead of A74 as it claims to focus down to light level of -7 eV. And yes, both the cameras have eye, face and head detection as well as real-time tracking. Looking at the dimensions of both the cameras, both look similar in size and almost weighs the same. Good for creators, both the cameras have an articulating touchscreen, also known as flip screen, with almost similar display quality. But I must share, X-H2s has a sub-LCD monitor too that displays shutter speed, aperture, ISO, white balance and a few other infos that will be quite helpful. Coming to electronic viewfinder, once again they are of same size on both the cameras, but look here. The one on X-H2s has 5.76 million dots, which simply means better quality. Unfortunately, both the cameras don't have an internal flash, but it's okay. External flash is always a better option. One really good thing both the cameras have is that they have dual slots, one for SD and one for CF Express cards, delivering faster writing speed and better buffer capabilities. And here comes the batteries. Both the cameras have internally chargeable batteries. However, it looks like the X-H2s has better battery capacity in case of photos as well as videos. Both the cameras do claim that they are water and dust resistant, though the A74 is not 100% weather sealed and its resistance doesn't prevent water or dust from entering the camera. However, in this one, Fuji has used the words tough weather sealing this time, so it will be really interesting to test out. And yes, there is E-mount on A74 and X-mount on X-H2s. Now before we move on to video specs, let's have a quick 10-second look at the pause present on both the cameras. And now the video specs. Starting with the best part, using the X-H2s, now you can record 6.2K of videos up to 30p. Not just that, there is a recording limit of way high 240 minutes, plus you can also buy an extra accessory called Fan 001, which will even increase that recording limit. Speaking of 4K, the best A74 has to offer is UHD 4K up to 60p. And on the other hand, the best X-H2s has to offer is DCI 4K up to 120p. Wow. Just like that, in Full HD recording, the A74 can record up to 120p, and X-H2s on the other hand once again has more to offer, 240p. And just like the internal recording, X-H2s wins in case of external recording as well, as you can record 12-bit Apple ProRes RAW 6.2K videos. Moving on, both the cameras have their best log profiles. But in case of XH2s, in addition to F-Log, XH2s also supports F-Log 2, which records an expanded dynamic range of 14 plus stops. And an important feature, both the cameras have in-body image stabilization with a slight difference in the number of stops. And last but not the least, A74 can be directly used for 4K and Full HD live streaming without the need of any extra software, and at the same time you can internally record your stream. And just like that, in case of Fuji X-H2s, Fuji has mentioned that you can do live streaming up to 4K. This is it guys, thank you so much for stopping by. If you found this video helpful, do support me by subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.